Hello students, we are studying the first chapter of history. In the previous video we started the chapter. In the part 1 we discussed about the chapter tracing changes through 1,000 years. We studied about the two maps of Indian subcontinent made by different cartographers, geographers. After that we studied new and old terminologies like Hindustan, foreigners, etc. Then we discussed about historians and their sources, manuscripts, written sources, archives, and copied by scribes people. Now we'll study new social and political groups. In this part, we will study about the period from 700 to 1750 AD, means 8th century to mid 18th century. During this period, we will study about the new changes, especially new technologies, innovations, right? Movement of people from one place to another place, extension of agricultural land, forests were cleared. So first we will study about technologies and innovations or inventions or new discoveries. For example, person wheel. So person wheel was used to lift water from water sources and to supply in the fields. So it was used for irrigation. So let's discuss in detail. The study of the 1,000 years between 700 and 1750 is a huge challenge to historians, largely because of the scale and variety of developments that occurred over the period. At different moments in this period, new technologies made their appearance, like the person wheel in irrigation. As I told you, spinning wheel, it was used for weaving and it was connected with many spindles. One wheel was connected with many spindles, and at one time many threads could be prepared. And firearms in combat, in the wars, firearms were used. New foods and beverages arrived in the subcontinent, like potato, corn, chilies, tea, coffee. Remember that all these innovations, new technologies and crops came along with the people who brought other ideas with them as well. Ideas, new ideas came to subcontinent, new goods came to subcontinents, and with the people. It means this was only due to the movement of people. This was also a period of great mobility. As we are discussing about mobility, that movement of people, groups of people traveled long distance in search of opportunity. The subcontinent, what kind of opportunity? Because the subcontinent held immense wealth, right? The people had some kinds of faith and hope that their luck would be changed and the possibilities for people to carve a fortune like this. One group of people who became important in this period were the Rajputs. The meaning of Rajputs derived from Rajputra, means the son of a ruler. Between the 8th to 14th century, 8th to 14th century, the term was applied more generally to a group, warriors, who claimed Kshatriya's caste status. The term included not just rulers and chieftains but also soldiers and commanders who served in the armies of different monarchs all over the subcontinent. A chivalric code of conduct. What is the meaning of chivalric code of conduct? It means it was associated with the medieval Christian institutions of knighthood. And the extreme valor, means courage, and a great sense of loyalty were the qualities attributed to Rajputs by their poets and bards. Bards also like authors who used to write something and recite something, like poets. Other groups of people such as Marathas, Sikhs, Jats, Ahoms, Kayasthas, and Kayasthas were a caste of scribes, those people who used to copy the manuscripts, and secretaries also used the opportunities of the age of become politically important. All these kinds of people wanted to become politically important. Throughout this period, there was a gradual clearing of forest. As I told you, that forests were cleared and the agricultural land was extended. A change faster and more complete in some areas than in others. Changes in their habitat forced many forest dwellers to migrate, because the forest dwellers used to live there in the forest, but now forests were cleared, so they had to migrate from there. Others started tilling the land and became peasants. Most of the people became peasants. These new peasant groups gradually began to be influenced by regional markets, chieftains, priests, monasteries, and temples. They became part of large complex societies and were required to pay taxes. They had to pay the taxes and offer goods and services to local lords. Who were the local lords? Very rich people and influencing people. As a result, significant economic and social differences emerged amongst peasants. Some possessed more productive land, means very fertile land. Others also kept cattle, and some combined artisanal work with agricultural activity during the lean season. Lean season means when the people don't have enough to work. As society became more differentiated, people were grouped into jatis and subcastes and ranked on the basis of their backgrounds and their occupations. What kind of occupations, what kind of work they used to do. According to that, they were ranked. Ranks were not fixed permanently and varied according to the power, influence, resources controlled by members of the jati. The status of the same jati could vary from area to area. It means in some areas the same jati was in power, so it was honored, it was respected by the people. But in another area, the jati was not in such kind of status. So jatis framed their own rules and regulations to manage the conduct of their members. These regulations were enforced by an assembly of elders. This assembly of elders was known as Jati Panchayat. But Jatis were also required to follow the rules of their villages in which they used to live. Several villages were governed by chieftain, Mukhya. Together they were only one small unit of state. Now, I hope that you understood about jatis, new groups, etc. Now we'll study about region and empire. New regions. Cholas. About Cholas we'll study in chapter 2. Tughlaqs in chapter 3. Mughals chapter 4. These kinds of empires or dynasties encompassed many regions. A Sanskrit Prashasti. Sanskrit Prashasti means written in Sanskrit, praising the Delhi Sultan Ghiyasuddin Balban. Ghiyasuddin Balban was a ruler of slave dynasty, I am telling you. Explained that he was the ruler of a vast empire. Which vast empire? See in this map. He said that from Bengal to Afghanistan, an entire southern region also was included in this empire. So Goda, Andhra, Kerala, Karnataka, Maharashtra and Gujarat apparently fled before his armies. Historians regard these as exaggerated claims of conquest. At the same time, they try to understand why rulers kept claiming to have control over different parts of the subcontinent. So in this way, let's discuss further. By 700, many regions already possess distinct geographical dimensions and their own language and cultural characteristics. Means these kinds of big emperors, those people who were holding these states, were having their own language and their own cultural features. So you will learn more about these in chapter 9. They were also associated with specific ruling dynasties. There was considerable conflict between these states. Occasionally, dynasties like the Cholas Khaljis, Tughlaqs, Mughals were able to build an empire that was pan-regional. Pan-regional means the spanning diverse regions. It means the area, particular area, we can say that this is the boundary of two states. Here, one state, state A, and this side, state B. So this region means contradictory region. So this region was known as pan region. It means expansion through different kinds of states is spanning diverse region. This is the spanning diverse region, and conflict used to be there among these kinds of states. Not all these empires were equally stable or successful, and we'll compare in table 1 from chapter 3 and 4. What was the duration of rule of the Khalji and Mughal dynasties? All the things we'll study. And Khalji were the part of the slave dynasty, and Mughals came in India in 16th century. Means Babur established Mughal Empire in 1526, defeating Ibrahim Lodi. So next, when the Mughal Empire declined in 18th century, when Aurangzeb died in 1707. After that, Mughal Empire declined, became very poor. So, due to which it led to the re-emergence of regional states. But years of imperial pan-regional rule had altered the character of the regions. Across most of the subcontinent, the regions were left with the legacies of the big and small states that had ruled over them. So this was apparent in the emergence of many distinct and shared traditions in the realms of governance, the management of the economy, elite cultures and languages. So these kinds of things were shared. Though the 1,000 years between 700 means 8th century to mid 18th century, the character of the different regions did not grow in isolation, because the impact from external impact was there, right? Movement of people, due to movement of people. So means these regions felt the impact of larger pan-regional forces of integration without ever quite losing their distinctiveness. So let's study. One more part is left. Language and region. In 1318, the poet Amir Khusro noted that there was different language in every region of this land. Sindhi, Lahori, Kashmiri, Devarsamudri, and Telangani, Guzari, Mahabari, Gauri, Awadhi, and Hindvi. These kinds of languages were there. Amir Khusro went on to explain that in contrast of these languages, there was Sanskrit, which did not belong to any particular region, right? It was an old language, and common people did not know this language, and only the Brahmins knew this language. Let's see the location of languages where these languages were spoken. For example, Lahori language was spoken in this region. I am telling you. Yes, this is the map of India. So in this region, Lahori language was spoken. Sindhi language, this was the language, Sindhi language region, Sindhi language, Lahori language, and Devasamudri language in southern Karnataka, means this area, right? After that, Guzari language spoken here, and Mahabari language in this region, Mahabari language, right? This language was spoken here, and Awadhi language in eastern UP, the present eastern UP. This is the eastern UP, right? This was Awadhi language, area of Awadhi language, and Hindvi language. Hindvi language was spoken in this region, Delhi, Haryana, and little bit western UP. This region, Hindvi language. This region was Hindvi language. So in this way, we have studied about the languages was spoken here. But Sanskrit, as we have discussed, Sanskrit did not belong to any region, right? Any region. It was old language, and common people did not know the knowledge of Sanskrit. They didn't have the knowledge of Sanskrit, and only Brahmins used to use this language in speaking as well as in writing also. So, dear students, till now we have discussed this chapter. I think you have understood. Watch this video again. If you don't understand, ask me by writing in the comment box. Thank you. Have a nice day.